Said I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. They been trying to get me cheap like a thrift shop, but I told them it's my time, check the wristwatch. They been talking way before they even doing something. Whoa. If they wanna play, let's get a tip off. Ain't no silver lining, dawg, this some rose gold. Getting new money, I'm a old soul. Yeah, I get it bouncing like a pogo. Whoa. And I'm too cold like Frozone. And my chick elastic, girl. Told him we ain't in the faking, this ain't plastic, girl. Bought a new whip and cash, now my tax is thorough. Way I'm shooting like step, but my pass is bro. The way I'm playing the field, I'm in a league of my own. And now they all in they fields, I got them all on my phone. But dog, I'm hitting the climb, I got no time on the low. Way I'm shooting is messy, the way I'm hitting the goals. I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I just left, but you know I'm coming back though. Whoa. And you know I don't play by my rags though. Now go and turn it up to the max, whoa. Send a paper to me now like a fax, whoa. Yeah. Got 2 phones ringing off the hook now. When I'm in the city, I get looks now. I was going bad, but I'm good now. Said I had to go and put my foot down. Told him I'ma get it and go. Even in the summer, man, they knowing I'm cold. I got a couple checks coming that I made out the flows. Might get a couple more popping if I do it some more. I gotta do it for real. Said I'm back in my bag. All my digits are climbing just like they all on a dash. And they tell me slow down cause dog, I'm moving too fast. Might go and cop me a Tesla cause dog, I still got a gas. Said I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f*** is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Kennels live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, Bitcoin chopping around a bit here. We did get that extra little drop down to come tap our golden pocket that we looked at on Friday. We've gotten a pretty nice reaction off of that, at least locally here. Are we going to be able to see a continuation up? Are we going to be able to flip our key level of resistance in order to see our bigger targets, potentially towards $95,000 to $97,000? I'm going to cover Market Cipher B. I'll give you guys an overall thought on where I think price is going next. But shout out to the CandleMafia. Welcome in, guys. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. Shout out to Darren Does Things, holding down the chat alone. Darren, you're on your own, brother. We're going to have to call in some reinforcements for you. But shout out to Darren, guys. We got K Diggity in the chat. We got Panda Prophet, Neon Visual. We have Baru in the chat said, do you play games? You should open a gaming channel. I'll be honest. I don't think a lot of people would want to watch me play games. I do play games occasionally. I'm not that great. Funny enough, I actually was playing Apex over the weekend. And just to give you guys an idea of what kind of gamer I am, it was me and one of my friends playing, and we had a random person on our team, and they were actually good. And I offered the guy $100. I said, if you get us this dub, I will send you $100 personally. And he clutched the dub. I sent the money, and the payment failed. I couldn't get it to him. I tried, though. I tried. If we do have a gaming channel, I will be giving out free money to people who can get us some dubs. Get my stats up a little bit. I'll pay for it if I have to, guys. But shout out to the Mafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. Is Bitcoin going up? Can we reclaim the value area low? I'm going to try to answer that question for you guys tonight. Let's see. Don't forget about Flats. Don't forget to flat smack that like button. Shout out to Flat Smack in the chat, bro. I don't know why your name's not Flat Smack anymore. YouTube messing around with us here, but I can tell that profile picture from a mile away. Welcome in, brother. We got Red Capital in the chat. We got Gen Z. We got everybody in here. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to smash that like button. Even if Bitcoin's not going up, guys, you can smash that like button. If you could, we greatly appreciate it. So smash that like button. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on. Shout out to Bong's Not War says, Apex, I got you dubs for show. Shout out to you, brother. I'm not like terrible. I'm a very, I am the most casual gamer ever. I just do it for fun. I could really care less if usually I'm just talking to people on the mic. But anyway, without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into a fresh game of Apex. I'm just kidding, guys. It's the Bitcoin chart once again here. XRP going to 80 cents. Shout out to Div X-Ray. We'll take a look at XRP. We'll take a look at XRP after we take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Let's see, 76K possible before the rip to 100K. We'll talk about that, right? So I'm going to start here and kind of talk about how we got to where we are now, which obviously we were looking at our local volume profile here, guys. And our next key level of support was sitting right here in this zone. Between the golden pocket, 786, value area low, and we also have a daily MPOC in there. And if you guys watched Friday's live stream, you will know we were kind of bing-bonging around here, and of course, we did get a little push to the upside, but as always, guys, I am always going to be more inclined to look for those key levels to get tapped, and almost in like a magical fashion, it was like, just wanted to go down. Hang on, I can't leave yet. I got to go tap. I forgot to lock my door at home. I got to go back and tap that golden pocket, and then we could get the pump. I did not take this long position. I was not on the charts over the weekend, but just to kind of give you guys an idea of where, kind of how we got to where we are, we finally got that rip down to the golden pocket. Always remember, guys, key levels are more likely than not going to get tapped. Not 100%, but we did get that push down. We did get some 2-hour bullish divergences down there, little SFP of that wick. We got the bull divs, and you did get that bounce back up into our next target, which, of course, is going to be the POC. And here we are, slamming our head on this point of control, guys. As we come up and test these this POC, right, it's not just the point of control of the range, guys, but it is also our value area low of the macro range. And this is, of course, going to be the biggest level to get above. And if we are eventually able to get above this level, it would indicate that we could eventually get our push up to our bigger target or bigger level of resistance, sitting here between about $95,000 and $97,000. But as you can see, we are continuing to hit our head on this value area low, struggling to get above, but it does still stand true that if you are able to flip that level, it will likely open the door to eventually get a move into the POC of the range, which of course is confluent with those MPOCs. Now I am still holding my long position from the low here, guys. Got some profit locked in, got about $2,500 on realize, so I am still holding the long from the low. So let me move this. I literally have a $100 bill blocking my screen here. But I'm going to continue to hold this position. If we get the push up, great, right? And I did, obviously, if anybody was watching last week, right, took the short from our local value area high as we looked at, right? We had the bearish divergences into the value area high. There's your deviation above, bearish confirmations, back into the range, back to the POC. And then once we lost that POC, we did know that we had this low volume gap sitting here, which did end up playing out perfectly, right? Once we lost that POC, we knew we might be able to get a fast drop through that low volume gap, as you can see right here. It is starting to fill in a little bit as we've bing-bonged around down here a little, but you can see we did have the low volume gap giving us pretty much no support down below, and oftentimes you can expect that fast drop. We front ran the golden pocket, suspicious of that golden pocket eventually coming down and getting tapped. We got that, and now we're kind of just bing-bonging around in this range. It's honestly kind of a mess, if I'm being honest. But still the major key level. Not only is the POC the range, it's also the value area low of our macro range. I would probably say this is the bigger key level, or a bit better context to look at this as, because, when we look at this from a zoomed out perspective, of course, guys, it's like, if we could get back in here, this would be very, very nice, right? Now, I'm not saying that this has to launch you off into new all-time highs. Obviously, my long-term bias still does remain bearish at this point. Of course, that can change if we end up flipping some of these bigger key levels of resistance, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, right? I don't want to get too carried away, but just, looking at our current price action, we have come down. We came to our massive, massive level of support between $82,000 and $85,000. Part of the reason why we were looking for longs down here. This is not a place to be looking for shorts. You've already missed the move down if you're looking for shorts down there. Doesn't mean you can't push up and then continue down, or maybe even continue down from here. But, never shorting those bottom wicks, right? Like, you got to wait for the retracements to look for the shorts. I have been stopped out of that position in profit. The short that I took last week, bing-bonged around, a little bit of a TP, and then stopped out at break even, but technically in profit because I had profits locked in. And then the long continues to run here. So the biggest levels I am waiting for now, again, just to kind of cover it, right? If we get above the value area low, of course, that is going to open the door to the POC. And then hopefully, this is going to be a big level that I will be interested in shorts at. But if we even get that rejection to the downside, that short decides to play out, I am going to still be careful here around that value area low, because if we can get some of the medium and higher time frame money flow to continue into the green, we could look for a potential low, high, higher low, higher high. Maybe we have the higher low here on the golden pocket for a higher high to come in. And of course, with all this confluence, I will be interested in the shorts. But as we are getting accepted into our larger profile, if we have the money flow pointing in the right direction, which would obviously be in the green, we could be very careful around this value area low. Because at the end of the day, if you hold support here, that money flow continues into the green, it could just be another higher low before another higher high, which would indicate we can get above that POC and potentially target one of our next zones up here between about 102.7 all the way up to about $104,800, which is also confluent with our 50-week moving average, right? It's a little bit lower. This will move over time, so we can kind of adjust that level down to accommodate for that 50-week moving average. But this is still going to be the biggest level on the chart, guys. Of course, I show this almost every single day. Anytime we get multiple weekly candle closures below the 50-week moving average, which, of course, we do have here, multiple weekly candles closing below that 50-week, it has proven to be pretty much impossible to get back above that level and hold it sustainably. So that's going to be a huge, huge level. If we could flip that, I start to feel a little bit better about targeting the value area high at about 116K. But again, we are pretty far away from that. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But just to kind of give you guys like a look into the future of like what I'll be expecting if we're able to flip that value area low, flip that POC, push into this zone. That is the biggest level on the chart, in my opinion. We can flip that. If we could flip that to support, we can then say to ourselves, well, we actually have something different popping up here. What's going on here? Not just saying, oh my God, this time is different because we want price to go up, but you actually do have something different that we've never seen in any other previous cycle, which is, of course, after those weekly candle closures down below the 50-week moving average, even like this deep in the cycle, right? Especially, it's proven to be impossible to get above it, and even back here, you had a little bit more of a local retest, but impossible to get back above it, right? So just to kind of show you guys why that level is so important, and it will eventually come in if we can get the push to the upside. I can't promise we'll get that move, but if we do, just be aware, 102,000. Let me just pull this back up. Where did my boxes go? Where did they go? They're gone. There they are. So obviously, really sitting between about 100 and I would say about 102.5 all the way up to about 105K. Biggest level on the chart by far. Once we flip that, we can start to entertain the bigger move up through the profile because, of course, within the laws of the volume profile, very simply put, you don't want to get confused by all of these intermediary levels, but at the end of the day, guys, we come down here. If you're able to flip this to support, PLC would be next. Flip the PLC. You can eventually look for the move up to the value area high, but very important to understand that you have all these other bigger levels that you could project. So there you go. That's the context. Can we get in here? We're hitting our head. It's going to be resistance until proven otherwise. So that's kind of the higher time frame view. One other thing I will be looking at this week is the fact that we do have the weekly green dot printing in all of its glory here. You can see it with our 10-hour money flow crossover, a potential market cipher B 1/16th bullish setup. So again, right, if we did get back up in here, push up to 97 to 95K, could catch the little scalp to the downside, but if that money flow continues cooking into the green, could be a higher low for an eventual higher high to come in, again, targeting that 50-week moving average zone. So there you go. That is, I don't want to overcomplicate it, guys. Like, it's just very simple, right? Volume profile, if we can get above there, looks good. But if we do get the rejection to the downside, what are the key levels of support? And on top of this 10-hour money flow, guys, you could see, you can see here, 8-hour money flow also attempting to cross over into the green. Nice big red wave to the downside on the continuation lower. And we've kind of hung out down there. This is now trending to the upside. If we can get that crossover into the green, it'd be very nice to see the 10-hour, the 8-hour cross into the green. 6-hour is already in the green. So these are just some of the things that I will be looking at, right? Because you got to think to yourself, it's like, if I take this short up here, am I looking for that to be a lower high and a massive move down? Well, at the end of the day, regardless of money flow, there's a chance that could just be a big rejection. But with the money flow indicating the likelihood of the trend continuing up, you just got to be careful here. Still a pretty nice move of, call it 5%, right? Plenty of room to make some money and lock in some profits, move your stop loss in case it does continue down. But, just got to be careful. If that money flow continues up, could be a higher low, flip the POC to then just continue putting in higher highs. Not calling for all-time highs just yet, guys. Once we start playing with the 50-week, maybe we can start talking about that. But again, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. My high time frame bias still does remain bearish. High time frame money flow still in the red. Until that changes, my high time frame bias is going to be bearish. Can that change? Yes. Could that be wrong? Of course it can. But I need something on the chart, such as flipping that 50-week, to indicate that maybe we are actually seeing something that can change our sentiment. So it's not all lost hope yet. Hopefully we can get the bigger push up to 116K by the end of the year. But as of right now, I do still remain higher time frame bearish. And yes, I am higher time frame bearish and sitting in a long position. I know that seems weird to a lot of people, but so that's the high time frame view. Keep the levels on your chart. Value area low comes in at 91 to 91.3. I'll call it because there's a couple value area lows that I'm looking at here between 91 to $91,300. That's the level you're looking to flip. Biggest key level to the upside, 95 to 97K on the point of control of the range. If we come up there, I will be looking for new shorts. We also have some local scalp shorts that we're looking for in the premium. I'm not going to go over those in this video or in this live stream. But for the most part, just like last week, bigger level to the upside. And then let's talk about some of the support we have sitting below us. And let me check in on chat here real quick. Shout out to More Timer Duke. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. We're all cooked. Shout out to Panda the Prophet. I'm not going to lie, guys. You remember last week I had this light was out. I came back into the studio today, and this light was also out. Not good. It's like some kind of an eerie sign there, but I got replacements there, so we're good. Hopefully that props up the market. That 50-week is going to break some hearts. Shout out to Panda the Prophet. That would be my anticipation until proven otherwise, but definitely not impossible. Definitely not impossible. Another higher entry to the bear market would be nice. Shout out to Neon Visual. And, of course, when we look at like the bigger, high time frame Fibonacci retracements, of course, getting above the 50-week is going to be looking a lot better for me. I do think that would open the door to potentially get the bigger push up into our value area high. Once we start flipping that value area high, right, if we are able to do that, right, it's like a big if there. But if you are able to flip that, guys, I mean, at the end of the day, right, a lot of people want a prediction. New all-time highs by the end of the year or not, right? Well, it's like I could say something right now, right? I could say the bias based off the charts right now is probably not. But at the end of the day, if you start to see the signs on the chart change, there's no reason to continue just keeping your bearish bias if you're getting new information. There's new information on the chart every day, every week, every minute, every month. So you have to take all that information into account. You can't just ignore the new information. If we were able to flip that $116,000 786, that's where we could probably say, hey, maybe there is a chance that you can push into new all-time highs. But again, I can't say that right now because we haven't flipped any of those key levels. We're still below even the lowest major key level, which is 91.3. So hopefully we can get above here. It's like kind of like the last defense before potentially pushing up here. But let's talk about some of the local levels. We'll jump on down to the lower time frame. Of course, we do still have our lower time frame volume profile here. Obviously caught the short up here from the high, rode it on down, took a partial TP down here, stopped out in profit. But right now, right, the key levels below us are going to remain the same as last week, right? Because Bitcoin didn't really do too much over the weekend other than this, like, seems like a big bounce, but really in the grand scheme of things wasn't that extreme. But it is still going to be the golden pocket, 786, value area low confluence. We also have a daily MPOC sitting in there as well. Specifically, why are these daily MPOCs keep getting deleted? Let me drag this back. Whoops. Man, why is that? I don't know why that keeps getting deleted. TradingView been acting funny. Tony D was having an issue with TradingView earlier today as well. But if we zoom in here, let me just drag this MPOC. It's about 87,294. It's like right here. So you can see, and we also have a weekly MPOC. Hopefully this didn't disappear too. I don't have to redraw all the MPOCs. Okay, so there we go, right? So when we look at this from a local standpoint, right, we have our value area low here at about $86,700. Value area high clearly sitting at $93,577. And then this POC / macro value area low is at $91,300, right? So it's the biggest level of resistance right now. But if we do get another drop down here, let's ignore this for a second. This is like hyper local. If we did get a drop down, right, tap the top of the golden pocket. This could be the bottom, right, at the end of the day. We were waiting for that golden pocket. It magically got tapped over the weekend. And because this is a golden pocket, guys, could be low, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high. That's in the cards, right? But if we did get another drop to the downside, I'm simply sitting on my hands again. I'm positioned in the long in case we rip. And then for the short, I'm really not interested unless I'm going to take local trades here up at the value area high. Other than that, like I'm just simply waiting for the bigger level at 95 to 96K. I was talking to the premium Discord. It's the same situation as right here, right? We have the big zone here at 95 to 97,000, right? But that does not mean that if we get a local short setup within the range, like we did up here, it doesn't mean that we're not going to take that trade and make some money on the way down. Right, so it's going to be the same thing. If we push up here, right, we're going to have we have some local setups in the premium up here. But at the end of the day, the bigger short setup that I'd be interested in is just on the bigger major level of resistance. We have a value area high here, confluent with our 786 Fibonacci retracement, right? We're already kind of rejected the golden pocket, so I'll take that off the chart. But you have the 786 value area high sitting right here. But once we get out of here, right, like so much more confluence. We have daily MPOC, weekly MPOC, daily MPOC, daily MPOC, right? So you got like 4 levels plus the point of control of the range makes it 5. And you have the golden pocket, a pretty big golden pocket retracement at the top of this zone as well. So there's much more confluence up here. But of course, it depends on the context of what you're looking at. If you want to look for the lower time frame trades, right, I'm just treating this as a volume profile. And then if we get the bigger move up for those bigger trades, right, I would rather see that higher confluence get tapped. But if we get the push down, next zone pretty much remains the same. We topped the top of this zone, tapped the top of this golden pocket. But if we do continue down, right, we have the weekly and daily MPOC sitting at about 87,003 to 87,004. And you also obviously have your value area low down underneath that, right? And the 786 technically, right? So there's your local zone to the downside. I will be interested in potential bounces from here. I'll be interested in potential rejections from here. So there you go, right? I don't want to overcomplicate things. I would have loved, right? My alerts did not go off here because I actually have my alerts here on the daily MPOC. But, you know, they are still set here. You can see them. I now have more alert set. But if we push down to the daily MPOC, I will be interested in bounces from that level, right? So I'm simply waiting for my alerts to go off down here, or please hold, my alerts to go off up here. And, of course, maybe I'll catch a scalp up there depending on when we hit it, meaning the value area high. But simply just sitting on my hands, holding along. We rip, great. Look for the short up here. If we dump, well, fine. We'll look for another bounce from these levels down here. Pretty simple, right? And this zone does sit between about 87,822 and 85,991. Once we start losing this level, guys, if we start breaking down out of this range and start getting the push, at that point, I don't really like that. I'm going to be looking for a break of the lows, and the reason for that is because if we end up losing those local levels, we will also be losing our macro 786 Fibonacci retracement. You can see it's like perfectly in line with the bottom of that range. So we end up losing this, guys. Like this macro 786 from a high time frame is really the level that we want to hold in order to continue some kind of a bigger retracement to the upside, whether it's just a 97K or maybe even up to those bigger levels between 102 and 104K. We need to hold above these lows. If we start breaking that 786, I will simply be looking for a bigger drop down to potentially come revisit some of these lower levels. We have an MPOC, a weekly MPOC at 78,550. And then, of course, eventually, I will be looking for bounces down here as well, potential, opportunities for short-term trades. But at the end of the day, it's like if you can't reclaim that 786, guys, we're looking to take out this low at 75K. All right, so if you do not want to break 75K, we must remain above that 786, a.k.a. the bottom of this range, right? Support, resistance. Lose this, we're looking much lower, right? And unless we get some kind of like setup down here, we hold the MPOC and get a big bounce back above that 786, which I would probably put a lower probability on. Of course, is not going to stop me from looking for day trades to make money on the way up. But at the end of the day, if you can't reclaim these levels, right, we're going to be looking for that bigger drop down to break $74,000. So right now, till we break this range, this is the local context. Let's see. Shout out to Jay Violet and Frank the Tank. Hey, love that name, bro. Frank's a good name. Dropping those business candles hands in the chat. I love it. What's the chance we range here until we meet up with the 50-week before we break lower? You mean like what are the chances of ranging around here until – not sure exactly what you mean by that, but are you talking about like what's the chances that we range around here until this comes all the way down? I don't know. That would take some time. We'd have to range around here for quite a while, in my opinion, right, to eventually get this to move down that much. I'd probably say it's a low probability, not impossible. So, yeah, if that's what you're asking. 48, shout out to Band of the Prophet, said 48K, take it or leave it. We do have the lower levels, guys. I covered them on Friday. Of course, the question is, well, Frankie, if we break the low at $74,000, right, where's the next big level of support, right? Well, we can already see there's not much below this $78,500 MPOC. Of course, maybe we can SFP the low there for a bounce. That would be probably, that would be something I would entertain, right? Let me just hide this stuff. If we did end up coming down to this low, right, maybe we get a little SFP, something like that, and maybe you get a bigger retracement from there. That's not impossible. I'm not going to draw out every scenario. We could do that all night. But it's like an if this, then that, right? It's not that I'm going to sit on the chart and I'm not doing anything until this happens and that happens, right? It's just if this, then that. We might not come down and take this low. But if we do, I will be aware that we probably have some liquidity sitting down there, and we could look for bounces, right? Now, whether that bounce is going to be a massive retracement or some kind of a lackluster bounce for lower prices, obviously my long-term bias is still bearish, so I would have to favor that situation. But if we do wind up cracking this structure to the downside, guys, the next biggest level of support is, of course, going to be sitting down here on our lower value area, sitting between 70 and call it about $67,000. Once we get accepted into that range, you all know what that means next, right? You get stuck in here, probably headed down to the value area low. But again, we'll cross this bridge if and when we get there. Who knows? Maybe we get the bigger retracement here. If we flip the 50-week moving average, that totally changes things. I can't predict that right now, but if that happens, we'll be expecting one thing. If we get the rejection with money flow coming out, we'll obviously be expecting what my overall bias is anyway. But there's no way to call that until we get more information on the charts. I don't know what price is going to look like up here. I don't know if we're going to get that move up there. It's always an if this, then that. That's why I have the alert set, and it's just like I get that trading view alert. I check for the confirmations. I'm at a key level. I look at the money flow, and then I make my decision. But I can't do that, obviously, if I don't know what things are going to look like up there. But just to give you guys an idea, if like this thing is going to continue to just fall over on itself, the next significant big level or zone of support is going to be sitting really between about $70 and $58,000 inside this volume profile, which would, of course, bring you back here to start retesting the previous all-time high. So you got structural highs, you have the value area, you also have structural highs here. So that's really the next significant area of support. And then when we start looking at our MPOCs, right, we'll pull up the weeklies, pull up the monthlies, right? So you have a weekly MPOC in there. I believe you also have some daily MPOCs in there as well. So you can see, right, like once you lose that MPOC, sure, you can fake out the low, but if you get stuck under that point of control, right, you're probably coming down. Like if you just look at this from a horizontal viewpoint, take off the volume profile, it's like there's nothing here, right? That puts our next significant horizontal support down here, like 70 to 65K, call it, right? So hopefully that makes sense. I pray that we can get back inside this upper profile and get the bigger retracement, at least in a 95 to 96K. I am positioned for that. And, of course, if I get stopped out of this long, I've already got profits locked in, so I'll stop out and profit on that. So local viewpoint, there's your volume profile. Higher time frame viewpoint to the upside. There's your upper value area. Got to get back in here. And then, of course, if we break down, we can look at the local value area low zone that I talked about, daily, weekly MPOC value area low. And then once we start losing that, yikes, right? Probably taking out at least this low at 80,500. And if that doesn't hold up, right, we're looking to take out all those lows down to much more lower prices. Let's see. Shout out to NS. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you for the super chat. Said, what will alts look like at 75,000 BTC? Probably not good. Probably not good. I appreciate the super chat, brother. I don't know exactly what those prices would be. It depends on the altcoin you're looking at. But obviously, if Bitcoin's going to get a bigger drop down there to, say, 75K, 17% drop, right? A lot of the altcoins will probably have more than a 17% drop. That's really all I can say. You can try to do the math. It's probably like a 2 to 3x multiple, depending on the altcoin, maybe more, maybe less. Let's see. Shout out to Brilla, said, even worse than they are now. Hope you aren't holding stuff from the top. Yes, I never wish that on anybody. Shout out to TDK, said, take a look at the 200 moving average on the daily. Whoops. That is actually another thing. We actually looked at this last week. Let me pull up the 200-day moving average, which is hilariously enough, guys. It's like these moving average. People always tell me, like, why don't you look at this moving average? Not that TDK is saying that, but I oftentimes get the question, like, do you use moving averages? Or, why don't you or do you, right? I just get the question, do you use moving averages? I don't see them on your chart very often. Only time I really look at significant moving averages are on higher time frames, and we don't really come down to visit those levels very often, right? So it's very rare that you see me look at them. 50-week got tapped here. We didn't have to look at that level. This was in August of 23. We didn't have to look at that level again until, literally a year later. So that's really the only time I look at them. But the 200 moving average or 200-day moving average is also just, I don't know, call it magic, call it fate, I don't know. But people always ask me, like, why don't, like, the reason I don't have these on my chart all the time is because it just adds more clutter to the chart. And as you can see here, 200-day moving average is sitting at $109,000. And if I were not looking at this 200-day moving average, am I missing out on that key level of resistance at 109K? Well, not really, right? Why is that? Well, because if I pull up my key levels, you guys can see here between call it about 109 and $111,000, we have our naked points of control. We have our naked point of control zone, right? So of course that is confluent with the 200-day moving average, like perfectly, right? So you get the 50 week here, you got the 200-day right here. So it just kind of points to, still the next two key levels that we're looking at. Whether you want to look at it from a moving average standpoint, an MPOC standpoint, still the same levels. I don't really have anything else to say about that other than if we push up in there, depending on if that, this will move as well. So I don't know if that's still going to be confluent up there, but, definitely another level to look at. Right now it is confluent with our next zone, above 105K. So yeah, Definitely have confluence there on my levels in the moving average. Let's see. Shout out to Panda the Prophet said, at this point, me and my spot bags are signing a lease and moving in together. Shout out to Panda the Prophet. I mean, listen, it depends on what you hold. At the end of the day, guys, right? Like, at least for Bitcoin. And, you know, are we going into the traditional 4-year cycle bear market? It's like, who knows, right? It definitely does look. It does look like that could be the case, right? It's like looking very similar to 2021. We look at this fractal 1,000 times, right? Like it's just looking super similar to what happened last time, right? You get the initial drop off the high, you get the retracement into your 50-week moving average, which if I pull that up, you can see. Right? Not that I would expect the fractal to play out exactly, but it's just funny, right? Like you can see it comes right up into that zone, and then you put in the lower high, and you get the bigger breakdown. Where do you come to get the breakdown to? Your daily MPLC at 69K, same exact key level of support that we were talking about. Maybe it's a little bounce. Literally the line I just drew. Maybe you get the bounce. Maybe you get the rejection of the weekly MPOC. If we break back down in here, you're probably going to fill the range in full. Again, not just because this fractal is doing that. Doesn't mean it has to play out exactly like that. But it kind of goes along with my overall thought process, right? So, you know, maybe we bottom out here, right? There's nothing saying you can't do that. You know, I said this last week, right? Like if we wind up doing this around like, you know, May, right? Like we could potentially be looking at lows coming in as early as May, depending on if they decide to turn the money printer on, right? Maybe it happens sooner. That could change the case. But when they replace Powell, they're going to replace him with somebody who is much more pro-crypto, much more dovish, right? Looking to turn the money printer on so Mr. Trump can look good, having the markets pump. But, you know, I will be interested in looking at this as our first major level of support. Does this mean that I can say, hang on, guys, we're in a bear market, don't buy until here? Absolutely not. I'm not a financial advisor. At the end of the day, depending on your kind of thought process and time horizon, it's like, you know, if you want a dollar cost average in on the dips, you know, you're exposed now. If you come back down, you want to buy a little bit more on the dip, you have a long-term view, you're looking to hold for the next 10 years, that's a totally different viewpoint than if you're trying to, like, scalp long here, right? Like a totally different plan. You know, so I'm not saying the bottom has to come in here. It's too soon to call any of that, but I could just kind of, you know, we try to make some predictions on this channel, but, you know, if it happens around May, right, when the new Fed chair gets in there and they start aggressively printing money, maybe we can start to look for early bottoms coming in, which would mean that was the 4-year cycle correct? Well, it was pretty much right on time if you want to consider this a bear market. Right? Just maybe it's a little bit different in the way of, you know, how much you drop down, right? This will be a 55% correction. This is not necessarily what we typically see in full-blown bear markets. Obviously, those drops are closer to 70 to 80%, right? So maybe we don't have to endure that. I can't promise it. I will be entertaining that down here, but if we get down here and the charts look like trash and money flows coming out, excuse me, specifically on the weekly time frame, I'll probably have the bias of a lackluster bounce, a lower high, and a lower low, and then maybe we see a much bigger drop to the downside, more similar to that traditional 4-year cycle, right? Maybe we come down to like the 30s. But too soon to call for that to be an absolute, you know, at the end of the day, guys, it's not a prediction mindset, it's a probability mindset. So if it looks really good down here, the probabilities could be that the bottom's coming in. If it looks like trash down there, the probabilities are you're probably going lower. So those are the kind of two scenarios that I'm looking at. You know, obviously, I favor the first one, bottoming out early, and, you know, at the end of the day, I probably favor this the most. Not that I think it's the highest probability, but I would love to just get back in here and launch off into new all-time highs. But when I have the high time frame money flow coming out like it is, right, it's just like this is not a great case. These are very rare bearish signs. Last time we saw a 5-day money flow crossover, it was indicative that the top was in and we were going much lower. Lose the 50-week moving average, can't get it back above it, bear market comes in. Money flow crosses into the red, top comes in, retracement into the 50-week moving average, bear market comes in, right? So there you go. I wish I knew exactly what was going to happen. Sometimes we can predict it. I know Bitcoin follows our magical line a lot, but, you know, I like to be honest, right? There's like, I don't have any secret, you know, I'm not texting Satoshi on the side. I don't even see any secret information, right? I just teach everything I do here for free. So you can literally do the exact same thing I'm doing. Shout out to Seek Parabolic says, many ways to trade. Moving averages are respected. You can absolutely trade well using them. Like anything, first you must understand them. Yeah, shout out to Seek Parabolic, 100%. Like people always tell me, why don't you trade this strategy? Is this strategy better than your strategy? And at the end of the day, right, everyone's looking at the same chart. Everyone's looking at the same information, pretty much just through a different lens, right? I always talk about ICT, right? Oftentimes, they'll look for like a break of structure and then a retracement into a fair value gap, right? And then they look to take the short. Well, it's not that, if you're using a different strategy that you would miss this trade, right? If we trade volume profiles, I wouldn't really miss this trade. I would just view it differently, right? This would be, in my opinion, not my opinion, right? But for me personally, the reason I like the volume profiles is because if I were to short this leg down, right, I'd probably be looking for shorts up here at the value area high. So I would probably have a better entry, but you could argue it's a little bit more risky. But if I miss that position and I get a drop down, money flow is coming out, and I get a retracement, well, this is probably going to be a bearish retracement into what I would expect to probably be a golden pocket 786 retracement / value area low confluence. So in this case, I would still be looking for shorts, right? But I'm just viewing it in the terms of a value area low and a Fibonacci retracement rather than a fair value gap, right? It's all the same stuff. Same thing with moving averages, right? It's like if someone says, oh, I shorted this moving average, that's absolutely valid. But it doesn't mean that if you're looking at something else, you're going to totally miss it. So yeah, that's why I don't like shove my strategies down people's throats. Obviously, I talk about it the most here because that's the strategies that I use. But if someone comes in like, I trade this strategy, your strategy is not good. Well, it doesn't make my strategy not good, but I believe you that you have success trading another strategy. Like there's so many profitable strategies out there. At the end of the day, I think most people hunt for the best strategy. They have a bad week trading one strategy. They want to instantly hop to another strategy. All this does is slow down your trading journey. It slows down your path to success because at the end of the day, the reason most traders fail is because of emotions and psychology and a lack of risk management, right? I always say you could probably trade a coin flip with a 50-50 win rate, and if you use good enough risk management, you can still become profitable, right? Win rate is never as important as your risk management. Risk management over win rate every single time. I'll say it again. All right, let's see. We already read that. Shout out to Mike. Mikey says, we revisit the first higher low. I'm selling my soul for a Bitcoin. Shout out to Mikey. Let's go. Are you a whole coiner already, or will that be your first whole coin? Let us know. Shout out to 12 Big. I got you, brother. Way ahead of you. Shout out to Panda the Prophet. Said, I'm not going to lie. I goofed another cycle. Didn't take nearly enough profit. Shout out to Panda the Prophet, bro. At the end of the day, right, hopefully it's not the case, but if it does end up being the case, we do go into a deeper bear market, bro. The fact that you're able to identify that, this will, right, the plus side is like you might feel that pain, but that enables you to then change moving forward, right? So look at it as an opportunity. I know it's like really hard to tell people when their bags are down, but it is the truth. Let's see. I don't think alts fall as much as they are already very low. Shout out to Tim. Definitely doesn't mean they can't go lower. But, if we do get, again, if everyone wants to know when alt season, at the end of the day, guys, we do have dominance, right? I'll check in quick on dominance here. Dominance continuing to reject our key level here. 4-day money flow and red dot is still there. Money flow is still in the red. I just don't know if this is going to signal like God tier alt season, right? But if we do see this breakdown and it happens at the same time as we get the bigger retracement on Bitcoin, right? That would be your opportunity to see the alts start to fly a little bit. Is that your traditional God tier 50? All your altcoins are 5xing overnight. I don't know. I personally think it's lower probability. I think it'll be more of like a rotational alt season, similar to what we saw happen back here. It's really the only time we got big pops on altcoins was back here. Was this the God tier alt season where everything was 20xing? No. Was it still an alt season of some sort? Yes, right? We can look at things like XRP, obviously had an absolute moonshot. We had other things, getting absolute big moves to the upside. We got a little bit of retail interest here. Nobody cares about crypto right now, guys. The crowd is not here. And this was the only time we really saw that happen, right? So I would kind of expect more something like what we saw back here in 2024 if we get the retracement on falling dominance. Like that's the kind of alt season I would expect. I would kind of call it just like alts get a significant relief. And then maybe it turns into something bigger. We get above the 50-week, Bitcoin starts screaming into new all-time highs. Then maybe the masses come flooding in. Maybe they turn the money printers on, something happens. And then we start to see everything go absolutely ballistic. But I would be very cautious with that right now. Not saying sell all your alts, right? I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you where to buy or sell. I would need to ask 1,000 different questions to give legit, clear information on what I would do. But that's just kind of what I'm looking for to see the alts start to perform a little bit better. Let's see. Shout out to Seek Parabolic, said, well said. Yeah, master a strategy, as Frankie obviously has, don't flip-flop. Yeah, of course, right? Like, I don't see, and like there might be a time where maybe someone's strategy gives them a short setup or a long setup and you don't get it, right? Because your strategy doesn't call for it. If that ever happens to me, right? Like, do you guys think that I'm like, that's it. I'm done with volume profiles. I'm done with Fibonacci's. I'm done with MPOCs. I'm using their strategy. Like, never in a million years, right? You got to master one thing. You can't worry about what other people are doing, right? Comparison's the thief of all joy. You might have a situation where you catch a fire trade and that other person that you were jealous of a week ago missed that trade, right? You got to focus on yourself, right? Especially in trading. You might see someone else making a ton of money, more than you make, and you might make $200 in a day. That might be good for you, right? If someone else makes $2,000 in a day, that doesn't change the fact that you still made $200 in that day doing something that you've spent time learning how to do and mastering, right? Like, you can't look at it that way, right? You're always going to be able to look up to somebody, right? I could look up to someone like CryptoFace who's making like $1 million in a trade. Does that mean that I'm unhappy with the money that I'm making? No. Does it inspire me? Does it motivate me? Sure. There's tons of other traders that take gigantic trades, right? Does that mean that, I'm not making money, or I should change my strategy or something like that? No, right? Everyone's on their own path. Everyone has different risk tolerance, right? So there you go. Yeah, shout out to India Martini. He said, we're all just waiting for Frankie to open his massive long to start the next bull market. Well, hopefully it comes sooner than later. I will say, though, the long that I'm in right now from here is not that long, right? I'm not necessarily anticipating this to be, the biggest move up to new all-time highs. If it winds up being that, well, great, right? It's like every time I talk about this, it's like more often than not, guys, when I'm long from a tippy low, if it does bring us into all-time highs, right, I'll even say this if this is the case. You're not going to see me come on this channel and be like, I told you guys this was going to be the bottom, no bear market incoming, right? I'm just going to be like, well, hey, my plan here was to be long because this is massive support. I was at least looking for a little bit of a retracement. If I wind up being wrong, or the TA winds up being wrong, which would make me wrong, in the bear market coming in and we wind up flying to all-time highs, well, I'm long from pretty much the low here. But that's not the instant base case expectation, right? And that's the beauty of being able to take profits, move your stop loss to break even, because I could just sit in that trade, right? Once we get back into this profile, if we wind up wiggling all the way back up, flip the POC, flip the 50-week, flip up here, new all-time highs, right? It's like, if we never come back down to stop me out, right? Well, I'm holding this risk-free, not only risk-free, but guaranteed winning trade. So it's basically free money at that point. But, when we get up here, it's not like I longed here expecting this to be the all-time high. Why? Why? I just don't care, right? Like, if this thing turns back around, it's like, all right, well, cool. I made a bunch of money on that move. I'll catch the next trade. If it winds up, I let my winners hit me by surprise, right? Millionaires are made by singles and doubles. People who blow up their account swing for home runs and grand slams every single time. Now, I can't say that's the same thing for everything in life, but when it comes to trading, singles and doubles will make you a millionaire. Let the home runs and the grand slams hit you by surprise, right? If I got stopped out right now, well, that was a double, maybe a triple, right? Maybe a double, right? But if it does wind up coming, well, hey, I hit a grand slam, but I let it hit me by surprise, right? And that stops me from just holding my trades without taking profit and then getting stopped out at a loss, right? When I could have made some money, right? Slow wins over time. Small wins over time. Right? If you want to gamble on massive shots, you want to risk your whole account and go for that big trade, that's fine. But if you lose one of those trades, it's going to take you 40 other trades to eat up those losses. There's nothing wrong with it, right? You can do whatever you want. But it's not how you're going to make consistent money over time, in my opinion, or at least in my experience, I should say. Let's see. Got to get ready for work, homie. Shout out to Mikey. Well, thank you for hanging out with us, brother. Enjoy your job. Or enjoy your day at work, and hopefully, unless you like your job, if you like your job, I hope you keep it. But hopefully, if you want to leave that job, hopefully we can help you on your trading journey. Fire your boss. Yeah, shout out to TDK. Said tell him about the long that you were forced closed by the exchange. Now that was a fire long. The exchange hated you for getting such a perfect level. That was I believe from the right after the ETFs were approved, right? We looked for the short. We actually caught the short to the downside. I took another long here, and I'm like that TDK brought that up because I did not long this low saying, that's it, we're going to new all-time highs. Now, could that have been the case? Yes, right? But that was not my base case. My base case was, as always, looking locally here at our volume profile. I then caught the long position, as we traditionally do, or typically do, I should say, long from the low, with the anticipation of coming back into the volume profile. Once we get back into that volume profile, I'm looking for price to flip the low, go to the POC, and eventually move up to the high. That was my expectation for that trade at first. Once we got up here, and we started to see the daily money flow fake back out into the green, which we actually, this is one of the few times where I actually expected a fake out and talked about it, right? Very rare that you can do that. But this was a specific case. Got the fake out into the red, crossed back over into the green. At that point, I decided to take a lighter take profit here and hold a portion of that trade for another leg to the upside because we were obviously in what we would have expected to be the start of the bull market, which obviously it was. And I was able to ride that all the way up into new all-time highs. And again, was I longing this saying I'm long for new all-time highs? That is a gamble, right? Unless there's a reason to look for it, right? Which sometimes there is, right? But in this case, I was just looking for a small trade, a single or a double, and with the chance of it turning into a bigger swing trade. Obviously, that was the case. I took this over on Bing X, and I got the KYC rules changed, and I wound up getting closed out of that position, unfortunately. Luckily, they closed me out. It was closed up here, right? So they kind of forced me to take that profit, which, hey, at the end of the day, maybe that was a good idea, right? Maybe I would have wound up riding it down here and getting stopped out in profit for less money. But yeah, that was beautiful. It just really stinks because I'd probably still be holding that long, right? Or at least would have held it up to here. That would have been fire. But am I upset about that? Absolutely not. I was a little upset at the time, but guess what? We caught the short. We catch the long, right? I'm not saying we catch every single move, but within the profile, we typically catch those moves. So there are plenty of other money to be made in there. But yeah, that was brutal. Shout out to TDK. I'm surprised you remember that. Yeah, that one hurt my feelings a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But anyway, that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin, guys. Hopefully, we can get above this value area low. If not, we're going to look to come back down to the bottom of that range. And hopefully, if that is the case, we can hold down here at that macro value area low / golden pocket 786 retracement, right? Come on down to a lower time frame, right? We're hoping we can hold on top of that zone. Once we start losing this, yikes, probably a higher probability that we can get at least a crack at this low, right? And then we'll look for scalps. But at that point, you're below your 786, right? So if we don't get the bounce from our zone again, right? And this was what I was looking at over the weekend. It just didn't come down to my actual key level. Doesn't mean we can't come down there now. But if we wind up losing that, right? Even if we fake out this low here, might just get stuck under the profile for the bigger drop, losing the 786, breaking structure to the downside. So we'll see. I always say moment of truth, guys, and oftentimes, like anytime I say that, it's not for no reason, right? It's not just to clickbait people, right? It literally is the big key level to get above, right? Make or break. Get in here, could see this. If not, well, if we don't get the bounce there and then this, well, that's probably going to be very bad, in my opinion, right? Now, I do want to take a look at the liquidation heat map really quickly, guys, because if we look at this, liquidation heat map, we do have a significant hotspot of liquidity sitting here above 94K, which is nice. Those are the previous highs, right? So we do have liquidity sitting up there as well, which means if we get back up in here, that liquidity could act as a magnet for price. And once we start sweeping through here, those shorts are going to get liquidated or stopped out. And when a short is liquidated or stopped out, it does create market buys, which could give you that liquidation wick directly into our next key level, right? And, of course, we do have local setups that we'll be looking at here at the highs, but I'm not going to cover those on the live stream, right? Those like hyper-local day trades. Shout out to Vision. XRP is trash. Shout out to Vision. It's so funny. Like, I feel like XRP is like the only coin that people come in and are just like, screw XRP. I feel you, bro. I feel you. Don't you leave us now, Frankie. We're pulling in all-nighter. Shout out to Indian Martini. We're not done yet. We got the Aztecian Cactus Moss Water on deck. You know what that means. All-nighter, baby. TDK said you also had the one from the 3rd of December when you got ADL'd. Yeah, that was recently. I got ADL'd, guys. If you don't know what that means, to be honest, I don't fully understand like the complete mechanics behind that. But when the exchange needs liquidity, to balance the books, if you are on the opposite of everyone else getting wrecked, they will auto-close your position to settle those losing trades. I got ADL'd. It forced me to take another take profit on my long position from down here, which is pretty fire. I actually had it, where is it? I could try to see it. I was explaining it in the premium Discord. And again, I don't have full understanding of like how the mechanics work behind there. But yeah, I guess that's how you know you have a fire entry, when the exchange needs to borrow your profit to settle the books. That is, yeah, that was a might be like a lack of liquidity on the exchange or something like that. But yeah, it's kind of annoying. But at the end of the day, right, sometimes being forced to take profit is not a bad thing, right? Because if you're not going to take it yourself, not bad for the exchange to do it for you. That's the first time that's ever happened to me, though. That's not a free market at all. Yeah, it was kind of like I was looking into it, and I'm like, dang, they just like auto closed my position, and yeah, that is what happened, unfortunately. Am I shorting or longing? Shout out to Visionary. I am only holding a long position right now. But again, right, like I don't want anyone taking that the wrong way. That does not mean that I just think this is only going up, right? But I am, if you want, the binary answer is I'm only in the long position from down here. So there you go. Yeah, shout out to Darren. Yeah, exactly. ADL, not enough liquidity on the other side to keep the checks and balances in place. There you go. So the because I believe it's if they don't take it from the winning traders, I believe the exchange has to take a loss. So I guess they figure better than them taking a loss is not make the traders lose, but like make the traders win, and then they use your liquidity to settle the books. Kind of cool. When that happened, I was kind of like, all right, exchange into my liquidity. Kind of cool. Yeah, there's not a lot of liquidity these days, that's for sure. Shout out to Rich. Richie Crypto said, if you want to be a crypto millionaire, put $1 in a jar every time an XRP holder tells you about becoming a millionaire. Shout out to you, brother. But yeah, I mean, I do hold XRP. My XRP bag's honestly one of my only altcoins that's up massively, but keep in mind, that was through many years of pain of holding that thing. Right? I have a much lower entry on XRP. But it's been a long ride, right? So just keep that in mind. It's not like it was the best performing asset this cycle or anything like that, right? I'm just holding for much lower. But yeah, it is crazy, man. It's like every day I see someone on TikTok or Instagram saying December 9th, XRP is going to at least $100, but more likely $725. And then you know, in the rare case, we could hit 45,000. And then a week goes by. December 12th, guys, as I've been saying the whole time, December 12th is when they're going to flip the switch. December 31st. Guys, the first day of 2026 is the day for XRP. And it doesn't mean that I don't think XRP is going to pump eventually or it's not going to be perform well long term or anything like that. It's just like I don't make my investments off of like conspiracy theories, or if it's not a conspiracy theory, it's not something I understand. So I just make my decisions based off information I understand, which is always going to be the chart, which every time they call for $500, the chart is looking bearish, and I'm not looking for $500, so the chart always winds up being right anyway. But let's go ahead and continue on here. Taking a look at Ethereum. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, guys, on the altcoins just because it's not much to update, right? And I just hate to make just like completely repetitive content here. But of course, we looked at Ethereum last week. Looking at this kind of new context here within this volume profile, we had the same exact key level of support on Ethereum. We had the golden pocket pulled from the low to the high. We were front running that on Friday, talking about, well, hey, you know, if I were going to look for the bounce, right, I'm just very suspicious that you're probably going to come tap that golden pocket. And again, you know, there it is, just magically. It's almost like it was leaving to pump. And it's like, nah, I said it before, right? It was like, I got to lock the door. I'll be right back. Boop. Then it goes. Doesn't mean that that's going to be a massive rip. But as you can see here, key levels, as always, more likely to get tapped than not. And there is the golden pocket getting tapped. And this was also a zone I would have accepted coming down in here. But luckily, we did not break the value area low. So continuing to get that bounce on Ethereum. I'll take this 50-week moving average off. We're flipping it. It's just not as key of a level as I look at on Bitcoin. Not that it doesn't mean anything, right? We're trying to get back above it. But of course, that doesn't really mean anything until you can sustainably hold it. You get above it, you hold it, and you lose it. Back down below it, back above it. Just not as key of a level that I would be looking at on Ethereum. Much more important for Bitcoin, in my opinion. So next key level to the upside, right? If XRP goes up to $95,000 to $97,000, no, if Bitcoin hits 95 to 97, right? Well, structurally, this would be like Ethereum taking out this high and coming up to the POC here at about 33.50. So that would be the next key target to the upside if we're able to hold, of course, on top of our value area low, right? So as long as we can stay within the range, of course, the doorway is open to the POC. Once we flip the POC, we could potentially look for the bigger move up here towards about 36.47 all the way up to 39.35. But other than that, right, we're just kind of still bing-bonging around here. Of course, you could separate this into more of a local range, right? Man, almost hit that value area low, right? It's like deviate below the low, go to the POC, back to the high, back to the POC, lose the POC, back to the low, flip the POC, back up to the high. So I'm not going to cover every local level, but you can pull this as a local range with your value area high at 3196, POC sitting at 3027, and then your value area low is on the macro value area low at 2882. So that's what I would look at locally. But other than that, high time frame levels, got to hold on top of this 786. If we lose that 786, probably looking to take out these lows. Now, when we take a look at it from a market cipher perspective, 16-hour money flow trying to come back up. Kind of the same thing as Bitcoin, 12-hour money flow trying to come back up. 10-hour money flow is crossed into the green. 8-hour money flow is crossed over into the green. So, the hope here is hold above this support with money flow continuing up. That would give us hopefully a continuation into that point of control, right? And of course, if we flip that, we could just look up through the range for the full fill. But let me pull this fib here from the most recent high. Whoops. So you can look at this as a little bit of a zone, right? Because you have the golden pocket, you have the 786, and the POC. So this does sit between about 32.58 and 34.39. Come on, money flow. Come on, baby. Come on. Do it. Do it. So there you go. That would be the range I'm watching. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Shout out to Wick589, said Vision, so is like everything else. There were very few tokens that hit new all-time highs, but I don't hear people trashing like Cardano. Let's at least be consistent. Shout out to Wick. Yeah, I was actually, when I was saying people come in and trash on XRP just out of nowhere, the only other coin that came to mind was Cardano. And honestly, I really think, I mean, it's not that XRP has been doing like, it was like the best performer. It's not like Cardano has been the best performer or anything like that. But I think a lot of that anger really comes from like, there's, what are Cardano and XRP both? They're both like cult coins, right? Like it's all about the community and like we're all gonna make it and like you have the chosen one and like it just gives everybody this like lofty goal, right? Or these lofty targets of like I have the special coin. When everything goes down, I'll hold the powerful asset that outperforms everything. And maybe that winds up being the case with XRP or something. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I just see these as charts, right? Like when the chart looks bearish, it goes down. When the chart looks bullish, it goes up, right? Like no conspiracy theories. No, we're going to $10,000. No, this is the chosen one or anything like that. Doesn't mean you can't make money on it, right? Like I said, I hold XRP. I made a bunch of money, but it's it's just I think that causes a lot of agony for the holders, right? And then like even when it's going down, everybody telling them it's going to $100, $10,000, whatever it is, they're just kind of forced to triple down on their, oh, but you guys don't understand. Like this is a little different now because it's just delayed though. But I'm telling you, December 31st, guys, $10,000. And it's just like they just have to double down, right? Because they have to protect their reputation. And that's why I don't ever hold any kind of emotional bias on this channel, even when it comes to the chart, right? In my eyes, this chart is bearish, right? Not just in my eyes, right? But based off the technical analysis, this long term doesn't look good. Doesn't mean you can't get a retracement, right? But the higher probability here based off the charts, it's not my emotional view. It's not like I want price to go down because I'm in a massive short from the high and I just have an emotional bias for it to go down. It's just because that's what the charts are saying. Now, I will never come up here and say there is 0% chance you're a moron if you think you're going to all-time highs. Maybe you're paying attention to something I'm not. I've been right in the past. I've been wrong in the past. I'm right way more than I'm wrong. But, I'm never just going to be like, if we're cooking up and breaking this 786, I'm not going to be like, nope, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I have to stick to my plan, right? Like I have to just like ignore the charts and just still say it's going down because that's what I've been saying. Absolutely not. You will see me flip-flop faster than a bass out of water, right? Like I'm going to flip-flop so quickly because I have an actual reason for it. right? But there's always going to be an actual reason. And at the end of the day, that actual reason might be wrong, and maybe the original plan plays out. The market is random. It is not you have to have a probability-based mindset, not a prediction-based mindset. Prediction-based mindsets are gambling. Prediction-based mindset is, this is the bottom. I think this is the bottom. I'm all in, right? Well, it doesn't have to be like that, right? You don't have to trade like that. I actually recommend not trading like that, right? Even in a bear market, right? I say this all the time. When the bottom came in 2022, I was not telling everybody, even though the zone I was looking at was 12 to 14K, I wasn't telling everybody, doesn't matter about the weekly bear div, guys. We have to go down to my level because that's what I said, right? It's, well, hey, now we're a little bit above my zone, but look at these weekly bull divs, right? This is not the weekly, right? Look at those weekly bull divs, right? Well, look at this money flow starting to cook up, right? And that's where we start to say, well, hey, bottom's probably in. It's all information-based, right? If I didn't have these bull divs, I probably would have expected lower, and chances are you probably would have went lower. That's why I always say you have to wait for the information to develop. I couldn't tell people, right? I could tell you, hey, maybe we go down around the previous all-time high. I could call that from up here and be like, maybe we go down there. But I can't say the bottom's definitely going to come in at the previous all-time high if I don't know what the chart looks like down there. Is it maybe a little bit possible to come down, retest the all-time high, and expect a bottom down there? Yes. But if when we got down there it looked like trash, I would have been looking lower. Right, and more often than not, I actually do have lower targets anyway, in case the chart's wrong, right? Maybe the bull div is lackluster and brings you one more low, right? You always don't want to have those key levels, and that's why dollar cost averaging is so important, right? It's not, this is the bottom, that's it, all in right here, right? It's dollar cost average. Maybe the bottom could have come in here, right? Maybe the bottom could have come in here. You don't want to wait to try to just dump your whole bag in, right? Most people will wait for a new all-time high and then dump their whole bag in, right? And then they just get stuck in this washing machine of getting spooked on the bull market corrections, which is a bad situation to be in. So it's not prediction-based, right? It's just probability. So hopefully that helps somebody out there. All right, let's see. Yo, shout out to Alex O. What is going on, brother? Dropping the candles. How you doing, brother? Good to see you in here, man. You can't be a T-Gen holding. That is true. Jesse in the chat. What is going on, Jesse? Welcome in. People still saying Bitcoin will hit $1. Shout out to NS. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. People thought, people were saying it's going to 8K. I mean, like, here's the thing, though. Even if it was going to go to 8K, right? Like, for me personally, I would not be waiting for 8K. All those people waiting for 8K missed the train. Right? And then they get stuck trying to buy higher, which is obviously not the best case. But, right, at the end of the day, right, from a technical perspective, there were levels down there, right? It doesn't guarantee that you have to go fill them, though. But, like, maybe you dollar cost average in, buy a little bit here, buy a little bit here, buy a little bit here. Oh, no, drop down to 8K, dollar cost average in again, right? And then that average buy-in gets somewhere in the middle of your dollar cost average, right? That's what I did. I didn't buy all my bag down here. I bought the bottom of the bear market, but I didn't wait to put my whole bag in down here, right? I bought a little bit, right? I waited for the first big capitulation, started buying, bought a little bit here, bought a little bit here, dollar cost averaging all the way down, right? And then your first entry is right here. Second entry, you buy up a little higher, it comes up, then you buy a little bit lower, right? Then you buy a little bit lower, then you buy a little bit lower, and then you get your average entry price somewhere in the middle, right? You're never going to snipe the bottom like that. Right, and even if you do, right, there's a big element of luck in that, right? You don't want to gamble on that. Again, probability, not prediction. So there you go. Yo, shout out to Fonz. Hey, shout out to you, brother. He says, hey, don't fade Mr. Toquan. If he beats his case, he's steady, lotta deploying capital and pumping Loonsea. Yeah, shout out to NS. Yeah, maybe. Actually, it was. We looked at this on Friday. This thing was like going ballistic. Again, right? Like ballistic is relative, right? It's not like it was blasting into new all-time highs. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Shout out to Dizzy Gang. Eating brownies, baby. Special brownies at that, apparently. Allegedly. Can you transcend into another dimension and tell us what Bitcoin is going to do? Please, for the love of God, do it. All right, so we took a look at Ethereum. We took a look at Bitcoin dominance. Quick look at Solana. Again, guys, Solana's still bing-bonging around. Same thing as Ethereum, right? Like, we're just bing-bonging around this value area low. This is a very key level to hold, guys, because, again, right, like, when you look at this, lose this 786. This 786 is pulled from the low to the high. Once you start losing that 786, right, you're looking for, hopefully, you know, you would hope low, high, high or low, macro high or high. I think it's a lofty goal right now. But if you lose this, right, that is invalidated, and I would be looking to take out this low, right? You have this tapped MPOC, so that's not even really there, right? You'd be looking down to the weekly at about 90.93. Like, huge level to hold. Could you deviate below the range low? Reclaim and get the move up? Maybe. But you just do not want to get stuck under the 786 at 128.87. But as long as you're up here, right, again, just like we looked at recently, hold the value area low. Next stop is the POC. We're now rejected the POC. Back down, holding the 786, right? We just do not want to lose this zone. It sits between about 129.36 to 124.95. If we lose it, probably not going to be a good sign, right? Because, again, I would be looking to crack this low at that point, right? Sitting at $95. You have the weekly underneath you at 91.81. So, again, right, when we look at this, it's like, hey, for the love of God, please hold this level. Now, when we look at the higher time frames, 3-day money flow back in the green. This is interesting. Obviously, this will oscillate more on altcoins than it will on Bitcoin. As of right now, if we get this 3-day red dot, this could very easily just be a lower high, right? Like, when it comes to money flow, the trending nature of it is important, right? For this to be a true fake out on money flow, I would need to see it, like, really mooning to the upside. If this red dot prints, this money flow could easily come back into the red. So I don't really love that. And I'll also talk about this 2 and 3-day in just a second. Well, I'll look at the 2-day right now. Same thing on Bitcoin, right? Like, 2-day, this 2-day does look like it could form a bull div. The one thing I don't love about that is the fact that you do have a daily here. So let me actually mark this out. So you do have a daily level here. I don't think it's a weekly. It is a weekly. Look at that. I was wrong. There's your weekly level. Whoops. All right, so maybe something to look for is if you do lose that 786, maybe you get a lower low on your price action and start to print some kind of a 2-day bull div. Because, like, the one thing I don't really like about these lows on Bitcoin and a lot of the altcoins is we just don't have any high time frame bullish divergences, right? Like, down here, what indicated that we would get this massive bounce, right? Well, we had the 2-day bullish divergence, we had the daily bullish divergence, we had the 3-day bullish divergence, but we don't have that right now, right? It's almost like when we were down here. I guess you still had a technical bull div down here if you can see it. Very lackluster, but we don't really have that, right? But what does this look like? Well, if we do get the dump, could form a 2-day bull div, right? It would call for a break of structure to the downside or at least a break of that body there. But this would be kind of somewhat nicer as far as a high time frame confirmation for a significant bounce. Doesn't mean you can't come up without it, right? It just, when I see this VWAP coming down and I'm anticipating a red dot to eventually print, if we get it, I'm always going to be, let's say we print that red dot, maybe we don't, but if we do, right, what I'm going to be looking for is, well, hey, if we start cooking here, I could look for the lower low on price and the higher low on our momentum wave, right, giving us that bullish divergence, right? We do not have that even on the daily time frame. There's no daily bull div. Those are typically high time frame confirmations I want to see for a bigger move up. Hopefully we don't need it, right, because that would obviously indicate more downside, right? Maybe you can just, flip up here. That'd be nice. But again, I would really love, I just want to have that on your radar. If you get that red dot printing, watch out for that 2-day bull div, which could bring you into, right, where would that 2-day bull div potentially print into? Well, let's pull up the weekly MPOC, right? Let's hide some of this stuff. Just to make it nice and simple. Come on. All right. Well, hey. Well, let's pull up the 2-day. All right. 2-day red dot prints. Get another little squeak to the downside. Push into that weekly MPOC. Have your 2-day bull div. Well, maybe we could look for something there, right? Maybe you don't get it. Maybe you can just nuke through the level, right? Just something to pay attention to. So there we go. XRP. Let's see here. Let's do a quick check-in on some of this stuff, guys. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the altcoins. proceeds to look at every altcoin. Same thing for XRP, just holding the lows here, guys. We don't want to lose these. You could wind up just ranging around for a while. All right. If we hold above this low, sitting at about $2, right? Technically, the POC target is open, right? I'm not saying you have to get up there, right? But, if you want that door open, you got to stay above this value area low. If we wind up losing these lows, looking for a bigger drop. I'll say that. And if we pull our fib here from the most current local low to the high here, a little bit of a zone, right? So I would say the invalidation there would be losing that 786, right? Because if you're going to look for a low, a high, hopefully hold a higher low for another push up, that level has to hold. Once you lose that, looking to crack structure to the downside here. And then again, right, it's like you start looking at your, let's pull up our visible range volume profile real quick and take a look at what the volume looks like. Pull up a higher time frame. Yeah, I mean, you could kind of see here. I'm going to try to keep this in... Right, like look at this. You lose that 786. You got nothing underneath you. Nothing. Literally nothing. What happened last time we looked at a volume gap like this, guys? All right, and you could see fast drop down, right? There's not a lot of support down here. Same thing on Bitcoin, right? Last week, we looked at this absolutely perfectly. We had the local range. How did we know that if we lost that local point of control, that we would get that fast drop to the downside? Well, when you pull your volume profile and you look at it like this, right, look at that big volume gap. And if I pull it back to before we filled it, right, look at that gap, right? So, people say, Frankie, how did you know, right? Like, how did you know if you lost the point of control and it was actually this point of control, right? How do we know? Well, look at this volume gap. You lose this high volume node here. Very fast move down, right? You got a fast move up, fast move down, fast move up. So once you break that POC, this zone right here, you're going to be looking for that fast drop down. So it's kind of the same thing there on XRP, except on a much higher time frame, right? Much higher. So, when we lose that, if we lose that macro 786, well, guess what? Very simply put, there's not a lot below. Right? The next real high volume node, come on volume. Next high volume node comes in at about $1.50, right? That would be a legitimate loss of the range in my opinion. And when we come back on to Bitcoin on the higher time frames, this is a very simple way to look at the chart, guys. If you just pull up the VPVR and you just ignore all the other levels that you're looking at, not that they're not important, they obviously are for the trade entries and stuff, but we're just looking for like what Bitcoin's going to do, right? Like long term. And just get an idea of like where the significant volume is. Come on, volume. There we go. You can see here, right? There's not a lot of volume here, right? Like we have high volume, very low volume, right? Leading you down to your next value area, right? So if we wind up breaking into this low volume node here, right? Here's the low volume gap. I'm going to try to draw that as good as possible, right? Once you get accepted into here, can't hold that weekly MPOC, could be a very fast drop down to your next significant zone of support. Nothing underneath you. Just something to look at. Very clean, very easy to look at, right? What do you have here? Low volume gap, right? From 56,225 down to about 51,824, 842, right? You lose those levels, right? There's not a lot holding you up, right? This actual high volume node wound up holding you up on that second dump. But if we wound up losing the $50,000 level, right, you have another big gap down to about 46K. Not nearly as significant as this gap. But that's kind of how you use that, right? High volume nodes act as magnets. You can see price sticks to the high volume nodes, price sticks to the high volume nodes. And when you break into the low volume nodes, they don't hold you back, right? Like you just fly through them, whether to the upside or the downside. Fast move up, pretty fast move down. So if you break back in there, could expect some kind of a fast move down. So there you go. Yo, shout out to Wig589 said XRP's bottom is thicker than a Snicker. Shout out to Wig589. I love Snickers. Not my favorite. I'm more of a Milky Way guy, if I'm being honest. But Snickers are good, too. Gotta head out early tonight, Mafia. See ya in the soup lines. Shout out to Panda the Property. You going to your McDonald's shift, brother? Actually, I'm going to be late for my McDonald's shift, too. Are we on the same schedule today? I think we're working together, Panda. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to 12 Big Said wants to see Zcash. We can take a look at Zcash. Let me pull it up over here. All right, yeah, Zcash still just kind of clinging onto this high volume node / anchored VWAP / this was also our, where'd I have that golden pocket 786? I believe it was pulled from here. Yeah, so now we're trying to get back up. We tapped into the golden pocket. I mean, this is your key level that you would want to hold. We looked at the daily money flow coming out on Friday as well. This is still trending to the downside. It's kind of flat here, but still trying to trend to the downside. So I would still be careful. I would still be careful of lower highs and lower lows, right? Your next major level of resistance, if you could reclaim this golden pocket, is going to be your value area low, right? Pulled from this lower high to the low. Let's pull this up a little bit. Yeah. So you have the value area low golden pocket confluence sitting at about 457.62 all the way up to 466.56. And if we have that daily money flow continuing out, right, you have to be aware that you could be looking at lackluster bounces for lower highs and lower lows. If you find that lower high, it's either going to come in, very likely, high probability of it coming in at the golden pocket or the 786, which the 786 is confluent with the POC. So next big level of resistance really starts at about 458.73. If you can get above the value area low, your next key level of resistance is going to be 501.48 to 520.35. If we get the pullback, you can be, maybe aware that you could hold the value area low as support to continue up, but that would need to be happening on massive money flow coming back up, right? If money flow is still just bleeding to the downside, you could expect the lower high and the lower low. So there you go. Nice push off the 786, though. I mean, even that is a nice little 40% rip to the upside. Let's see. What about the lower time frames? That just disappeared. Shout out to Marion. I don't know how to say her name, bro. We took a look at the lower time frames. I don't know if you're talking about Bitcoin or XRP, but we took a look at the Bitcoin lower time frames in the beginning of the stream. So check it out. Let's see. Shout out to Alex O. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He says, thanks from day one, Frank. God bless the Mafia. The gang loves you. Maybe spam some candles. Shout out to Alex O. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for that. Did you send that when I saw you before? Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to Alex O, man. Thank you so much. God. Wick 589 said Alex O can get it whenever he wants. Good Lord. Wick 589. Calm down. Wick 589. Somebody get him under control. But shout out to Alex, bro. Much love, brother. Much love. Time to buy a goat, Frankie. Shout out to Suncoast Goats, bro. I gotta put it in order with you, man. I need 2 white and brown spotted pygmy goats. Are those the ones that like run and jump off stuff? I want the chaotic parkour goats. That's what I want. You know what I'm talking about? Like the crazy goats that run around and jump off stuff. They're just like, "Ma!" and they just jump around. That's what I need. I need one of those in my life. Let's see. Can we take a look at Bonk? Yeah, we have not taken a look at Bonk in quite some time. Let's see. All right, well, apparently this was the long of the lifetime right there. I don't know what this was. Maybe it was. I have no idea. I don't trade Bonk, but probably used it to explain something. Either way, totally cooked. Let's get some of these older levels off the chart. So Bonk. I mean, let's take a look at this. So your upper range here, your local range, right? I would say the local range to watch is value area low sitting at 1057 at the value area low, POC 1207, value area high 1445. If you can reclaim here, this is the value area you're looking to come up into. That just is what it is, right? And you can see pretty big fall off in volume there below, between your profiles. Fast move down. If you did end up getting a pop up here, you could break above this shelf of volume. Could get a little quick pop up into your upper value area low. It's pretty far away at that point, right? This would be a almost 100% pump to the upside. So, we'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. Just for informational purposes, 1838 is that level. But Yeah, I mean, I don't really. It's like this is the same as everything else, right? Like there's no. I don't really see anything here that screams to me that, there's, massive bullish divergences, massively bullish money flow. Like this all just looks the same as everything else. These would be the key. So really all I can do is like give you the key levels, right? There's no secret signal here that I'm looking at that isn't on any other altcoin that's saying this is going to moon. But that would be the next range I'm looking at to the upside. You can see the levels here if you want to get them on your chart. One thing I can tell you is when we look at the higher hourly time frames, money flow still kind of just flat in the red. It's attempting to come up, right? Like it's better that it's trending up than not trending up. But as you can see, that doesn't always indicate that it's going to get the crossover, especially something like this, right? So I'm just going to give you the key levels there, right here. 1055 value area low, 1206 POC, 1442 value area high. We'll talk about the higher levels, when they become more relevant. At this point, there's no reason to really look up there until you can get above these levels. If we pull this fib from the high to the low, you could see 786. Golden pocket value area high confluence. This is your biggest level of resistance, right? If you can break above this 786, I would anticipate, right? If you get up here, flip that 786, I think this is where you could get that fast move up to the value area low. That sits at about 1519. And if we pull back up the visible range volume profile, you can see that low volume gap does line up, right? So that's going to be your biggest key level to break above. Until then, I would just view this as a range. High time frames. I mean, this thing's probably cooked on the higher time frames, if I'm being honest. Yeah, 6-day money flow still in the red. Weekly money flow in the red. And we don't have any 2-week money flow, so those are the key levels I would look at. And when we look at the high time frame Fibonacci retracements, right, you lost this 786 a while ago. Right, in order. I mean, even this fib, right, like you have your low, your high, your higher low, your higher high. If you wanted a higher low and a higher high into these upper targets, that was the level to hold. Once you lose that, right, it invalidates the idea that your uptrend is going to continue, right? You have low, high, higher low, higher high. You would hope for the higher low here, which is probably what that position was on the chart when we pulled it up. I haven't looked at this in forever, but I assume that's probably what we were explaining. It's like if you want that big move up for a higher high, be targeting up here. Right, you would hope that this holds, right? If that doesn't hold, it invalidates the idea of the uptrend continuing, and you're looking to break down. So you're below like almost all your key fibs, right? So we'll see. You got to get back up in this range. Flip 1059. That's what you need for a little bit of a push up, potentially as high as 1452. Once you get above that 786, you can look up to the upper range. And if I were to hide all this and just pull this as kind of its own big range, I wouldn't. Yeah, I probably wouldn't look at it like this. Never mind. Yeah, I would have to look at these as, local levels or local ranges. So never mind. I'm not going to look at that as a full range. So that's what I would be looking at on Bonk. Exactly what is Bonk's project? Shout out to Seek Parabolic. I have no idea. I think it's just a meme coin, right? I mean, some meme coins have utility. I don't know if Bonk does have utility. I know it's a meme coin, though. First meme on Solana and the biggest since the FTX crash. They have 500,000 community. Shout out to Baru. And again, it's not to say that meme coins can't do well, right? I mean, just look at something like Dogecoin, right? Dogecoin survived multiple cycles. It's obviously performed very well, especially if you were in from the lows. So it's not that, they can't survive bear markets. It's not that they can't perform really well. I mean, at the end of the day, meme coins have some of the highest percentage gains. But it's a very much get in, get out while you can kind of game, right? I guess all crypto is. So yeah, I don't want to, not that I don't think Bonk will ever go back up. I just don't know what their actual, I don't know if they have utility. I don't think they do have utility. They have a lot of connections. But does the project do anything? Or is it just a meme coin? Let us know, Baru. They're involved with a lot of side projects. I don't know if that's utility. Was used / airdropped with their phones. Okay. So I don't know if that's utility. Like, unless they were using the token for something, I don't know if you would call that utility. But I guess it is like some kind of connection to a real thing. But yeah, I don't know, maybe they do have real utility. I just simply don't know the answer to that. I just know I really want a Snickers. Shout out to JR. Let's go. Shout out to you, brother. Welcome in. Oh, there you go. Shout out to Blocky Vibe says they have a launch pad trying to compete with Pump.Fun. There you go. let's see. Sui, yeah, we could take a look at Sui. All right. It's crazy. Like, we haven't even had to really look at this recently because we were just kind of waiting. I don't know exactly the last time we looked at this, but it had to have been somewhere after this wick, right? Pulling from the low of the scam wick to the high, which gives you confluence on your value area high, which with the fib or not is a very key level of support. Take the fib off the chart. If you can't hold inside this profile, right? Auction market theory, right? Low, high, high, low, low, high, high, low. If you cannot hold inside that balance, where is price going to gravitate to? Exactly. JR answered correctly in the chat. It's going to seek out previous balance, which starts here at the value area high at $1.34, which of course was in confluence with the golden pocket retracement, right? So this is definitely big support. Doesn't mean that's where the bottom comes in necessarily, but this is support. This is a very key level. I personally would not want to lose this. You do have the 786 underneath you. Here's the problem. If you bounce off the 786, doesn't mean you can't launch out of here and go higher, but you do have to fight that value area high, right? So if we come on over here to the higher time frames, 3-day money flow in the red, 4-day money flow in the red. Actually, 4-day looks like it wants to come back up. 5 days in the red, 6 days in the red. Weekly's just crossed over into the red, right? So like traditionally, when you look at weekly money flow, it does oscillate a little bit more on altcoins, meaning this has a higher probability of faking out back into the green than it would on something like Bitcoin. But at face value here, money flow comes out. It indicates the trend is likely to continue lower, right? Which would indicate lower highs and lower lows. So if we break down below this value area high, we don't want to get accepted in here, right? Because if we do get down here and we can't break back out, it is going to indicate that the next likely place for price to go is probably to the POC of the range, which unfortunately, at least on this Binance chart, does sit all the way at the value area low of the range, which would be absolutely insane. This would be, from where we are now, another 72% drop to the downside. Hopefully that doesn't have to happen. This is just what the chart's saying. Can you hold up on the 786? Yes. I warn against this because you do just have to be careful, right? If you catch longs off the 786, you just got to be careful around that value area high, because if you can't get back above it, probably going to continue not only through the rest of the profile, but you lose that 786, right? You're looking to take out this low, which could very easily send you down to that POC, right? You're looking to break that structure to the downside. Next key level of support underneath that is the weekly MPOC / point of control of the range, all the way down at 44 cents. Not saying you have to come down here. I'm just saying if you don't want to come down here, you're just kind of praying that this weekly money flow crossover just doesn't mean anything, which is not what I think, but you just have to pray that this doesn't mean anything, and you're just going to get some kind of magical bounce here into new all-time highs. I hope that's the case. I just can't say it's high probability. But I could definitely tell you this is the key level to stay above, $1.35. And if you lose that, your last chance to bounce, in my opinion, is $1.08. Once you lose that, very high probability of filling this range, in my opinion. So there you go. Pretty two clean profiles, right? Like profile 1, profile 2. Right now, we've gotten the fast drop from profile 1 to profile 2. You're just hoping to not, you're hoping to, I mean, I don't know, guys. Like, you're just hoping to moon back up in here. I just don't see it. Hopefully it happens. I'm not saying it can't. But if you get stuck in here, it's like, well, hey, probably going to accept into that profile. So, key level, $1.35. Last chance to bounce, $1.08. Lose $1.08, I'm looking much lower. And it could be also like a fill the wick situation, right? You might want to come in, fill the wick, right? Down to the value area low. I'd feel more confident down here. If you do get a situation where we do get a crazy alt season, Bitcoin rips into new all-time highs for some reason, and the alts just go ballistic, I mean, this is a big level of support. I just don't like, when I look at this money flow, it does indicate continuation down, even if you get the pumps, right? Lower highs, lower lows. So if you can get accepted into here, it might start to look a little bit better if you can get the money flow to crack back into the green. I just don't know if that's a high probability case. So there you go. NVIDIA. We can take a look at NVIDIA. Not a stock channel, but we could try it. We could try it, and whoops. $2x short. Why do I want to look at this? All right, let's see. Let's actually come back over here. I think we have an NVIDIA chart. There it is. All right, so on NVIDIA, let's see here. So I would still say, right, I'm not going to say that you have to come down here, right? These were upper targets when we were down here, right? Upper target number 168 to 180, right? Above that, you have this next extension level at 194. I'm going to take these off the chart because we already come into them. I mean, your next significant Fibonacci retracement. Let me pull some anchored VWAPs here as well. Where do I want to pull this from? All right, well, that's definitely confluent down here. I don't know if you have to go this low, right? But you do have the massive golden pocket down there. Full low to high. Again, I'm not saying you have to go there, but I just want to mark that off because that is going to be a big level if we have to see it. Pull from the reclaim of the value area low to the high. Got more confluence here on the value area high. Got your golden pocket sitting up here as well. I mean, I can already tell here, like one thing I don't love is the daily money flow, right? This daily money flow is obviously trending to the downside. This does typically indicate lower highs and lower lows to come. Let me pull some anchored VWAPs here real quick. Let's pull it from the low. Wow. Not going to lie, guys. I did not really expect that. So, yeah, $1.57. I mean, this would be a key level. Let's pull some other ones here. I don't want to get too crazy. Yeah. So these would be some local levels to watch. Or I don't know if I'd call them local, but you do have some kind of a volume profile up here. If you lose this range, I would be watching this golden pocket anchored VWAP confluence between 160.79 all the way down to about 157.27. Lose that, I would simply be looking down to the value area high /786 sitting right here between 149.20 and 146.71. I don't love this money flow. This is bearish money flow unless this just starts cooking back to the upside. I mean, these daily money flow crossovers, last significant crossover you had was right back here. It was right after a significant high. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low for a total of 43%. All right, I'm not saying this has to be 43%, right? That would bring you, that would bring you like way down. I'm not saying it has to be that, but just to kind of show you, right? Like money flow crossovers are, not really something to scoff at, right? Take a look at some of the higher time frame money flow. 2-day money flow still pretty thick in the green. That's not like crossing over into the red just yet. 3-day money flow still pretty thick in the green. 5-day trending out over time. So I would just be cautious here. I just don't like that daily money flow. Doesn't mean it can't continue up over time, right? You could still come down here, higher low, higher high, right? That's not a 40% drop to the downside. But the daily money flow coming out, that crosses red. I'd be looking for lower highs and lower lows. Then if that makes a new high out of nowhere, well, we'd have to adjust these levels. But this is what I would be looking at. 160 to 158, and then lose that, I'd be looking down towards about 146 to 146 to 150. Of course, right, you would hope if you don't get the bounce off the golden pocket, you're hoping to bounce off the 786. If that's not the case, you get accepted in here, you're probably headed lower to 137 and potentially the golden pocket value area low at about 130, right? So just a little context there, right? You could bounce. If you get accepted in here, very high probability of coming down to fill that range, at least to the POC, if not the value area low. So that's what I would look at on NVIDIA. They don't call me Frankie Stocks for nothing, guys. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Yeah, their revenue was above good 5% above expectations. Yeah, I mean the other thing is too, like stock market's like one of the biggest like positive scams in all. It's kind of hard, right, to just be like super bearish on the biggest stock in the world, right? Like even on a massive drop to the downside, right? It's like really hard to just be bearish on NVIDIA like long term. So yeah, but this could just easily be a retracement, right? Like even this drop here would be a golden pocket retracement, 786 retracement for higher prices. And then like even if you get accepted into here, right? Like even getting in here, like that could just be a golden pocket retracement for higher prices, right? Obviously, long-term bullish on the stock market, like pretty much at all times, right? Like even in massive capitulations. Shout out to Loki said, thank you for the sauce. I want to buy back into NVIDIA. Yeah, I mean, I can't promise you have to come back down to these levels, but these will be what I would look at if you do get the bigger drop down. And again, I'm not like a big stock guy, right? And Market Cipher works the same way on stocks as it does in crypto. But the thing with the money flow is like, even like the daily money flow on NVIDIA is going to oscillate a lot less than it does on a more volatile asset like Bitcoin, right? Like if I were to, like you could see here from May of 2025, it's been in the green since May of 2025. Bitcoin on the daily, there's May of 2025. We've already gotten like, money flow comes out, red, green, red, green, red, green, right? You get a lot more oscillations on crypto, so it does behave a little differently. It is still works the same way. Crossover into the red would indicate a continuation of a downtrend, but it does behave a lot differently, right? It's going to be a lot easier for me to like snipe these like very like niche, confusing kind of situations on crypto because I've looked at it for so long than it is on stocks, right? But at the end of the day, that crosses red. That would be more of a bearish sign, right? We try to find some other money flow crossovers on the daily, right? They don't happen very often on NVIDIA, but there's another one, right? Other than the one that I talked about here. Or yeah, you get a little pop here. You do continue down. You don't get a full trend. You come back up, but eventually it does get that bigger correction shortly after, right? There's another money flow crossover. You get the bounce, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? It's not 100%, right? Like even here, right? You get the crossover right there, right? You do continue down, right? It's just not a low, lower high, lower low, right? But you do still get the move down. So either way, a money flow crossover into the red is going to be bearish, and more often than not will indicate something like this, right? But it's not 100%. Nothing's going to be 100%. No indicator, no strategy, no nothing's going to be 100%. Let's see. So there you go. There's NVIDIA. Should we start looking at stocks? If Bitcoin goes into a full bear market, maybe we should just start looking at stocks, guys. I mean, stocks would probably be going down too. Shout out to Lost Travel said, does your tomato pasta recipe have meatballs? What kind of sauce doesn't have meatballs? Shout out to Lost Travels. Of course it has meatballs, except I don't cook. It's my mother's recipe, but I don't do it. Link. All right, let's take a quick look at Link. And let's take a quick look at Link. Of course, right? Just probably not going to be much of a. Where are we at? Where is Link? I know it's here somewhere, guys. There it is. No update on Chainlink. I mean, if you've watched any of the live streams since November, my sentiment remains the same, right? We looked for the PLC to get tapped. We actually set the alert on the live stream, got off the live stream, and it went off like soon after while I was eating dinner. But yeah, I mean, we're still above the value area low. Doorway to the PLC remains open. We're struggling at the PLC. If we get another drop down, we still have this suspiciously untapped value area low zone. Key level, guys. Key level. So if we do get the drop down there, key zone of support, still going to be the value area low between about 1137 and 1086. Simple as that, right? Like you're hoping to stay on top of that. If we get flipped the POC, there's no saying that you have to come back down and tap the value area low. So if this, then that. If you flip the POC, the next target for me personally would be about 1567 all the way up to about 1642. If we get the rejection from the POC and the bigger drop down, the key level of support sits right here, 1137 to 1086. Money flow trying to come back up on the daily. That would be a good sign for higher lows and higher highs. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. 4-hour money flow also trying to come back up here as well. 8-hour money flow trying to work its way up. But again, right, it's just like, it's been struggle city here, right? So it doesn't guarantee they're going to get the crossover. You need to see the actual crossover. But we're heading in the right direction. It's better that this is trending up than down. It's just not like a strong enough signal for me to be like, oh my God, right? 2-day VWAP is coming down. And again, right, it's like, not only do we not tap this key level, we also just don't have any real bullish divergences, right? We have no daily bull div. A little bit of an exaggerated bull div like this, it's just like, I don't really like that. It's very, it looks weak in my opinion. This bull div at least. So if you did get another drop down, I would really be nice to see some kind of like a stronger 2-day bullish divergence. So if you get the drop down, you're looking for a push into this level, hopefully with high time frame bullish divergences. If you flip the POC, looking right up here at 1566 to 1648. Other than that, You're just still chopping around between the POC and the value area low. Say it again. It's always suspicious to me that you don't hit the value area low. And I always compare it to this previous time here, right? You get the drop down, you front run the value area low, you get back above the POC, and sure enough, you get the bigger drop down, right? And even here, you had bullish divergences on the 2-day, right? Lower lows, higher lows, right? But it's weak. Once you get that bigger drop down, you get this broader, much stronger 2-day bullish divergence, right? I mean, even this looks a little bit exaggerated, but I don't like these local bull dips. I like to see them across bigger momentum waves like this. But of course, right, still a bullish divergence, much stronger, in my opinion, than this little one right here. And you didn't tap the value area low. So it doesn't mean that has to happen, but just to show you, like, it's very common that if you front run a value area low, even if you get the bounce up, right, like more often than not, you will come revisit that level. And then you eventually get a bigger bounce back down to the value area low, and then you finally get the full fill. So that's what I'll be looking at on Chainlink. Not really much of an update there, but that's the next target to the upside. Key level of support right down here. Lose this, we're probably headed out to take down these lows. And this daily is tapped, so we'd be looking down towards about 958 if you lose this value area low. As long as you stay inside of here, right, POC is still open, flip the POC, you can start working. You have a lot of resistance above you, but eventually maybe you can work your way up to the value area high, but you have a ton of resistance ahead of you there. And, of course, high time frame money flow looks exactly the same, right? 5-day money flow in the red, 6-day money flow in the red. Weekly money flow is coming out, not quite in the red yet. And you have the weekly green dot. So I would still be inclined to be cautious, right? On a pump, it would be very cautiously optimistic, right? Nice to get the bounce, but you'd have to be careful of lower highs and lower lows. So that's what I'd be looking at on Chainlink. And with all that being said, guys, that's all the time we got for today's live stream. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here in these very boring crypto times. Let's see, 45K Bitcoin. Sell my soul for a bit, for a Bitcoin. Yeah, shout out to Mikey. I mean, listen, again, it has to do with, you know, what is your long-term view, right? I have a very long-term view on Bitcoin, right? So it's like, if we saw $45,000 Bitcoin, $50,000 Bitcoin, even if it's not the bottom of the bear market, right? Like, it doesn't mean that you can't be a buyer of a $50,000 Bitcoin, right? If you have a 10-year outlook, you believe Bitcoin's going to be trading at $250, $1 million one day, right? Like, you got to accumulate, right? At some point, right? You're never going to snipe the bottom. At some point, you got to take some kind of a stab. And, you know, a lot of the times on this channel, we're taking a much more of like a trading view, no pun intended, right? But we're taking more of like a look at it through like the lenses of a trader, right? So it's like, if I see that we might go down another 5%, I'm not going to long, right? But like, if we go down to 50K or 30K and we're going to go down another 5%, I might be looking for shorts while also like accumulating Bitcoin. Now, I have not bought Bitcoin down here. It doesn't mean that it can't go back up. But you know, you have to try to figure out what is your long-term view. Right, if you think Bitcoin's going to trade at $250,000 in the next year to 10 years, right, 2 years to 10 years, whatever it is, right, well, if that's your plan, right, buying even an $85,000 Bitcoin is not a bad buy-in, right? Now, would I dump my whole bag in there expecting that to be the exact low with 0% chance of lower prices? Absolutely not. But taking nibbles there for a long-term outlook is not that, you know, not a big deal, right? Just really depends on your long-term plan. So there you go. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Bitcoin is going to zero. Maybe. Maybe. Hopefully not. But I'll be here, guys, to hold your hand and walk you through every step of the way. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Turn on notification bell so you don't miss the live streams or the urgent market updates. If you're in the premium Discord, I'll see you guys there. If you guys want to sign up, FrankieCandlesTrading.com. I'll see you guys in the kitchen. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switch Post up, whose man's high? Through it all, I stay the same. I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right. I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life. I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose, and I'm coming right inside. I'm in mine, yeah.
And don't forget, guys, today is the last day for the Cyber Week sale on the premium Discord. Actually, didn't even realize this when I just mentioned. Come join us on FrankieCandlesTrading.com. But if you guys want to get some savings here, this is the last day of the sale. Come check it out. We only have 5 left. These are going to be gone after. We're not going to leave these up. So if you guys want to get in for the 2-year, the annual, the biannual, and the quarterly, obviously everything other than the 2-year does have the discount. The 2 years already discounted as you're buying in bulk. So come check this out if you want to join the premium Discord. And with all that being said, that's actually all the time I got for today's live stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same place, same time. Hang in there, Mafia. Hang in there. We'll see you tomorrow. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know, on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor.